So, let me tell you about the night I met someone in a bar who offered me a deal. No, not just any deal, a deal that would change my life in ways I couldn't imagine. Back in college, I'd heard rumors, stories of a man who appeared in dark corners of seedy bars, making deals that sounded too good to be true but came at a cost. People said he was like the devil in Faust or some modern Midas. Of course, I thought I was clever enough to be careful, but curiosity got the better of me, so I went looking. I ended up in this biker bar, Elysium, which has since shut down. It was your typical bar crowd, burly bikers with grizzled beards, younger guys with that don't mess with me vibe, waitresses and bartenders with tattoos and low-cut tops. But then, I spotted him, in the far corner, a guy in his mid-20s, with short spiky black hair, looking pale enough to be a corpse. He wore this long white leather duster over a Metallica t-shirt with Lady Justice on it, and jeans with a black chain hanging from his belt loop. A heavy pair of black leather boots with silver buckles completed the look. There was something off about him, but I couldn't place what. I took a deep breath, feeling my heart pound as I walked up to him. He had his eyes closed, seemingly unaware of the world around him. I waited, almost too nervous to speak, and then I croaked out, "Excuse me, sir." Without looking up, he just muttered, "Well, aren't you gonna sit down?" His voice was soft, and he made no effort to move his feet off the table, like he was some king on a throne. I thought it'd be rude to sit without asking, I replied, trying to hide how nervous I was. He chuckled, this deep, rusty laugh, like it hadn't been used in a long time. He looked at me, finally, with these piercing blue eyes. "Now that," he said, "is funny. You actually have manners. People barge in here demanding favors or accusing me of being a fraud, but you," he gestured for me to sit, "you're different." I sat across from him, trying to keep my hands from shaking. He poured us both a shot and slid one over to me. It seemed polite to take it, so I downed it. It burned, but it wasn't painful. It was almost warm, like it pushed away the October cold outside. I thanked him, and he shook his head, saying, "No need to sir me, just call me Mortimer." Before I could even ask, he cut me off. "Now I know that you go by Tony, short for Anthony. You hate your first name, Thomas, because of your dad and the family tradition of naming every firstborn son Thomas. You wish they'd just named you Atticus, after your great-great-grandfather." I froze. How did he know all of that? He wasn't just guessing. He looked at me, that smile lingering. "If I'm who everyone thinks I am, kid, how could I not know?" Then he pulls out this black chain, attached to a huge book, and flips to a page. "Here, look," he shows me, and there's my name, my whole name, birth date, everything, and a blank spot next to it. Mortimer shut the book quickly, saying, "Can't have you reading ahead in your own story, now can we?" I felt a chill wash over me. Every instinct told me to run, but all my life, I'd been obsessed with one thing, knowing why the world was such a messed up place, why people were so selfish, so careless. So I said, "Mortimer, I have come to bargain." He took his time, savoring another shot, before answering, "What is it that you desire, Tony? Wealth? Love? Influence?" He said each word colder than the last, like they disgusted him. I was about to answer, but he held up a hand. "No, I know what you want. You want knowledge." I just nodded. He was right. I wanted to know why people did the things they did, why the world seemed on this constant spiral of madness. Mortimer sighed, like he'd heard this 100 times, but he looked at me with pity. "Kid, you're asking for something dangerous. Knowledge like that, it's not a gift, it's a curse. I could give you wealth, and it'd cost you 20 years. Love, and I'd take just 10. But this, I can't put a price on it." But I didn't back down. I insisted. I needed answers. Finally, he nodded. "Fine, I'll give it to you, with a catch. After you have the answers, you can ask me for one more thing. Anything." I agreed without hesitation, not fully understanding what I'd just committed to. Mortimer reached out, placed one cold finger on my forehead, and everything went black. Then it all came rushing in, a flood of images, thoughts, memories. I saw the minds behind every atrocity, every act of cruelty, the reasoning behind each war, each attack. I felt it all. The fear, the hatred, the selfishness, and worst of all, there was no grand conspiracy, no dark force pulling the strings, just people, wrapped up in their petty wants, their need to be right, to own more, to take more. And it wasn't just the worst of humanity. I saw how ordinary, everyday selfishness, this mundane lack of awareness, was causing untold suffering. When he lifted his finger, I was in tears, barely able to breathe. Mortimer poured me another glass, and I gulped it down, trying to steady myself. "Mortimer," I said, Voice trembling, I know what I want for my second request. He didn't say a word, just waited. Take me with you, right now. I don't care what's waiting on the other side, just get me out of here. Mortimer's face softened with understanding, and he reached under the table for a black helmet. He handed it to me, then stood up, leading me out of the bar. Outside, I saw his ride, a white Harley. As I put the helmet on, a strange calm washed over me. The world around me, the cold, the rain, the dark, felt different, almost welcoming. Mortimer kicked the bike to life, and I chuckled as I climbed on behind him. What's funny? He asked over his shoulder. Nothing, I said, just that the Bible got it right. Oh? He said with a smirk. That death rides a pale horse. We both laughed, a genuine laugh this time, and as we rode off into the night, I thought of a line from a book I loved as a kid. He greeted death as an old friend, and went with him gladly, and, as equals, they departed this life. And so, I left the world behind, feeling for the first time in a long time, at peace.